Yeah, it was a case of looking at, what had gone before it, but really where the boats were trending and what we wanted to do. What did we like in the Phantom? Because there was things to be learned in there, and what did we dislike? I think one of the big takeaways between those two was really, how that boat's going to kind of come out of a drop and carry its speed. At the Phantom, the Phantom's going to stay in the range and does what it does. It's a faster boat for sure. It's a boat that kind of really gives you awesome feedback when you're on it, but can also kind of take off on you a little bit when you're sort of not paying attention. And if you're not actively, then yeah, it'll really let you know. And we want a boat that is going to encourage sort of dynamic forward paddling, but at the same time not sort of get away from you. So.
Yeah, that the Mamba was such a big hit, when I went out to the P&W, and you've talked to those guys a bunch too, the Todd Wells and Galen and those guys out there, and they were a big fan of the Mamba 8.6. They were a huge fan of that Mamba 8.6. And on this project, I'm guessing you got a lot of feedback from those guys too, out in the P&W region.
Yeah, we did. We've got a really sort of deep team there of paddlers, that we were able to tap into, and people coming from different angles. People were running just big volume runs as well as like large, big waterfalls as well, and everything in between. And so, yeah, to be able to work with a team on that, and unfortunately, I didn't get out there and actually paddle with them, but I'm getting prototype boats and shipped up there for testing and sort of video feedback, and stayed really closely on that. And that's, again, that team tested it, the success of the product, so sort of to everyone's.
So you can answer this better than anybody. So to compare the Phantom and Code, let's say I'm thinking about the medium Code. I have a Phantom currently. What would I expect? What could you expect? Say I have a Phantom and I'm thinking about upgrading the Code. Should I?
Yeah, absolutely.
By 5. No.
Because here's the reasons why. I think the first thing is sizing. I've mentioned it already, but you can find a boat within that size range, a true small, medium, large size, that's going to fit you really well. That's going to fit you whether you want, a smaller paddler who wants to float super high and dry and, floating on the surface and, sort of charging over everything, down to sort of smaller paddlers who we've really not catered super well for in a little while. And so that's the first thing. And I think the range does cover that well. I mean, I'm sort of able to paddle and test all the sizes and actually can fit all the sizes. And surprisingly, with the large, even like it's not a boat that kind of owns you. You think it'd be 97 gallons, like it's going to be massive, but it really doesn't paddle that big.
You're right. I put the large through the paces, and when I set in and on pavement, the large felt large. It felt big, but on the water, it did not feel that big. I don't know what it was. It just, I don't know if those rails and the link translated really well to the paddling. But when I was sitting in, if I just set in the store floor, I'd be like, oh, this is way too big for me. But it actually wasn't. I'm around about 180, 185. What are you, about 140, 150?
I'm 150, just under 150.
Yeah. So you can go all 3 sizes.
Yeah.
I found out real quick I can't go the small, Snowy.
Well, yeah, you gotta get down to your fighting weight, Wade.
Well, that is true. Well, hey,
I mean, it's definitely, we didn't want to make a boat there. It's easy to just kind of squeeze up on size, and then we'll miss some people out. And in a way, I sit between sizes. You think I'd sort of size a boat that fit me a little bit better, but I definitely sit between sizes somewhat. But I testing the small, even high water runs on things, and felt like I could paddle it pretty well at mine. But yeah, I think at 180 you're going to be out of that size range. But yeah, I guess back to the differences Code to Phantom. So sizing is the big thing initially, and then it's really that the speed at which the Phantom will come out of drops and into the next drop. It's kind of planing out. It's carrying its speed through. And we sort of realized that for quite a few people, especially transitioning from a Mamba, maybe, is that carrying too much speed into the next drop isn't always what you want. Like, you're sort of not always like totally focused and ready for it. You're not prepared for it in some people's cases. So it's not that we're looking to make a slow boat, but making a boat that will, plane out from a drop, give that sort of zippy feeling that people are looking for, but then also be able to control that speed and be ready and prepared to sort of go into the next drop, not totally uncontrolled.
Yeah.
And so that ability to then like midstream corrections, high rocker, so you can kind of like flick the bow and stern around, and then just super rocker in there. That's the,
how much more rocker is it than the Phantom? What's the Phantom rocker? You should have all these memorized in your head.
See, that's the thing. I'm not sort of, don't keep.
I could probably ask you a rugby player's stats and you'd ring them off like that.
Yeah, I could, who won the, Rugby World Cup, or who won out the England Wales,
I have no idea. Who did win the Rugby World Cup, by the way?
Last one, I forgot.
I hope it was Australia.
It probably was.
Yeah.
No, it'd be Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, one of those, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Know that. I'm going to get called out for that, not knowing that answer.
How do you forget that? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, rocker-wise, depends on the size that you're looking for, but it's got, if people ask how much rockers have, it's got enough. I think that's a good looking at. Like it stays on the surface super well, and kind of theory a bit like sort of, big downhill mountain bikes. Like if the front's going to go over something, then the rest of the boat should follow, the rest of the bike's going to follow. And so just all that sort of crushing rocker where you just get the bow up and over. Then it's balancing, like, okay, making sure it doesn't want to kind of like come up and over and then carry on going in that arc. And so balancing out your stern rocker and just getting that sort of surface so it kind of lifts up and over and then drops back down and continues.
I think you definitely nailed it. I think the whole team nailed it on a boat that comes out of drops, and it does have a higher rocker plane, which I think helps water pile up more. Maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it does. It comes out, and the Phantom had a tendency to squat down and go fast from drop to drop. This one really did come out, and it would skim like 20 feet and then just start dropping down, and it slowed down. So I think the stern rocker and the bow rocker pretty much nailed that. So I think that's a good feature to have. And if that can be pushed on this, that was my description to some people when they'd asked me about the Phantom and code. I just wanted to get your opinion too. And you kind of back that up, that not everybody wants to go Mach 7 from drop to drop. Some people want to run something, look around, peel out, run the next drop, look around. And I think it done. And I think did a good job on that for sure.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, just kind of preparing yourself for that next sort of like coming through and just being able to like sit up, sort of take a second, and then you're into the next drop. But without losing that kind of sense of speed that people are looking for, coming out of a drop and not just sort of bogging down. And then really the rail shape, and that this relates a little bit more back to the Mamba than the Phantom, is like carrying that rail through the tail. So when you come off a drop, you are still steering, so dropping an edge, carving with those rails.
The Mamba rail didn't extend all the way to the tail. The Mamba ended probably right about where the rocker kick started a little bit, right?
Yeah, and it was really soft through the tail there, really forgiving in that sense. And that was something when we looked at that sort of beginner intermediate platform, people sort of their initial eddy turns and peeling out into the flow, and just having something that's going to soft and the water would run underneath. Did we lose you? Oh, you're still there. There you go.
Can you see that?
All kinds of fancy stuff on the screen.
Yeah, I just wanted to look a little bit at this rocker profile. Plus, I wanted to see if I could pull this up while you were still on here.
Yeah.
So you can
Rocker's something. I think any designer will tell you can make or break a boat with rocker, and it's also a really hard thing to control in production. Like it's sort of over the length of the boat when plastic's shrinking. Trying to keep that and maintain it and sort of boat to boat is it's challenging.
I wish you guys, not you personally, but like a bottom shot of the hull on these. You
need to see the business end.
I need to see the business, buddy. I want to see the bottom. I was trying to see if I could rotate it around, but I can't see those rails. I wanted to show like the rails, but I can't see the rails on that. I didn't even know I could not do that, but no, I could see the overall shape of the boat and how it tapers in there. And you can kind of see in the picture that the rail does run the length of the hull there. No, I'm impressed with the boat, man. I really like the boat. And like I said, I paddle every brand I can find now. So, but I really like the boat a lot. I liked how it came over everything. I think it's definitely, it's worth the wait. It was a little long, but hey, it's here for creek season. Who's going to be paddling codes on the Ocoee besides me?
Well, you're the only one. And there's been in there, slice boats and slicey boats through the summer, and there's definitely those kind of like
it worked out.
I think it has in the long runs and getting into shops for sort of winter creek season, and I think you say you're kind of biased towards Dagger, but it's always nervous putting a boat in Wade Harrison's hands because he's going to be honest. He's going to tell you and also we're going to point out to everyone biggest kind of critic of everything. I remember back when I started with Dagger, Wade would come in and he'd be.
What did he call me?
Oh, they called you the NPer, the picker. They're like,
Nitpicker
don't.
or PNFer, problem
Yeah,
finder.
problem finding. You're like, don't give this thing to Wade, and then you like try and hide stuff away for a while till it was ready, and then he'd come through like, what is this junk? And you just break it, and you're like, oh,
Oh, that was 3D printed. Sorry about that.
yeah. You'd be like, oh,
This
well, if there's a problem to be
this grab
found.
handle isn't going to hold this, Snowy. And I'm like, he's like, well, that's 3D printed. That was my model. I'd be like, oh, you got some super glue?
Yeah, I'll glue it back together. But no, it's true. Like people would be super nervous. Like you give it to Wade if you want it really sort of proven out. They get it with the NPer.
Yeah, man. I think that pretty much covers the code. I mean, I think it pretty nailed everything. I think the sizing is one of the big things too. You know, the Phantom, obviously, I've talked to several paddlers. They're either too light for the Phantom. Now I've talked to another guy that's like 225, and he's like, it's just too small. It just feels too small for me. And now I'm like, try the large code. Now try the small code. Yeah.
Yeah, it had a pretty, it had a pretty good spread for being a single size boat, but there's always limitations. And someone's going to want to be in a boat and be sort of, deeper in the water and more engaged in there. And other people just want to float super high and dry. But over the Phantom as well, the Phantom is good part of that thing where it come through and just like speed out of drops, but getting a bit more support behind the paddler as well. There's a little bit more width carried back in the code.
Behind the hips, baby.
We learned from that and just like where we wanted to put the volume and sort of packing that volume really tight in behind the paddler and filling it out. And just things that we learned and bringing a new boat to the range. And
the Phantom, just for everybody listening, the Phantom is staying in the range. I really like the Phantom. I mean, I still own a Phantom and I would use it right now. I wouldn't use the code in a race. I think the code, not saying you can't do it. I don't think it has that speed out of drops that we were talking about. I think it does have that tendency. I just noticed that they did the Great Falls race up and some of the team guys were paddling Phantoms. I was like, well, that makes sense. You need that longer water line and speed. That the code is that drop pool type boat, not screaming from drop to drop. They are drastically different boats.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think, speed can also be found in staying on the surface as well. If it bows up again.
That is true. Just has to Nirvana.
And, different kind of styles of runs, and that lends itself to those different boats. But yeah, a lot of the team, this weekend we're using the Phantom because that's why it's there still, and keep it in the range.
Speaking of in the range, what do you think is? We'll change subject on. I think we covered everything on the code. Yeah. So what would you say is the biggest mistake as far as a boat?